recording video, recording audio, and all right, perfect, let's go. You know, I just noticed everything's set up for the composition and stuff, and my monitor's behind me, but on my monitor is a clock. It's supposed to make everything look good, but I'm blocking it, so that's kind of redundant. But I mean, I guess when I move, it'll come out. I don't know, let's just get into it. So I'm 18 years old right now, a legal adult, and on the past 3 years I've been really focusing on like self-improvement, making myself a better person, and it's really like bumped up after I turned 18 because I really want to make sure that the rest of my life is really headed in the right direction. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned through these past years from other people and from personal experiences is the power of time. And when it comes down to this, that time is something that you have to respect and you have to be wise with, but you can't fear it, because when you fear it, you lose it. That's why they say the most valuable thing that you can never own is your time. Intro. Okay, so a little bit of a backstory. So the other day I went to Walmart and I bought this Salisbury steak meal, which honestly, it tasted awesome. But it got me thinking about how that meal can also represent life. And specifically, it was in the creative aspect. And it was kind of like this. When you compare using like one of those done for you templates on like Canva or something for a logo, let's say, to creating your own logo with Illustrator as an experienced artist, it's kind of like comparing one of those Salisbury steak meals to a USDA choice beef seasoned and prepared by a chef on this like awesome grill. At the end of the day, you're still gonna have steak, but which one would you rather have? Obviously, we know it's gonna be the one prepared by the chef, but why? Because they took more time and they put more effort into it. And with the example of the two artists making a logo, it might take them both an hour to create a logo, but the reason the artist using Illustrator, his logo is going to turn out better is because it took him time to get to that point in his career where he's that good of an artist, versus the unexperienced person might also take an hour, but his logo is not going to come out as good because he doesn't understand how to create a good logo. I think that's maybe why our attention spans are so low, is because we've gotten to a point in our world where technology is so awesome that we can optimize our time down to the minute, where we can get this really high return on investment as far as we put this small amount of time in and we get this big amount of information out from it. I mean, think about it. 20 years ago, if you wanted to learn something new, you probably have to get in your car, go to the library, go to the specific section, and then, you know, find the book, rent out the book, read the book in order to like learn that one fact. Versus now, you just hop on your phone, type it into Google, and boom, in a minute, you know that same fact. We've been able to optimize our time where we have such a little input, but we're able to get such a high output, which is an awesome thing. In fact, that's the whole reason why shorts and reels and TikToks even exist. You know for sure that when you give 1 minute of your time, you're either going to get educated or entertained or a little bit of both. In fact, this video is going to get cut up into a bunch of shorts because I know that I'm going to get more views from that, because more people would rather watch a short than they would watch an entire video. In fact, if you're watching this entire video, thank you. And it's gotten to a point where we've optimized our time to where you can know more information with a small time investment, which is awesome, but can be dangerous when you apply it to every area of your life. For example, I posted a short a while back talking about how if you invest 20 hours of your time into learning a new skill, you'll pretty much go from knowing nothing about that skill to knowing 80% of what you're going to use that skill for, just investing 20 hours of your time. But most people will usually spend years trying to start the first hour. I think it's because people are scared about giving their time, because we've gotten to the point where we've optimized every minute that giving an hour or a day or week or months or even years sounds super crazy to us. But let me explain it to you in this sense. When someone's trying to jump over like a canyon to get from one side to another side, if they were to start the jump from the very end of that cliff, will they get to the other side? Of course not, because they don't have enough of a head start. Instead, what do? They run as far back as they can to get that running head start, and then they jump over the cliff, and then they made it across the canyon. That's how it works with time. The more time that you invest, the higher the outcome is going to be from that investment of time. The more time you put in, as long as you're not procrastinating, will return you a higher outcome. That's just the way it works. Which is, I think, a really important thing, is that a lot of people procrastinate and they use fear of losing time as an excuse. But instead, they waste more time procrastinating than if they just committed to spending the time in the beginning. For instance, if you knew that with 10 hours of like learning and applying a skill, you could probably become a pretty good video editor or a pretty good photographer, which you actually could. Not like amazing, but you'd be pretty decent to where you'd be a little better than the rest of your friend group. Unless, of course, your friend group is these professional Hollywood editors, in which case it might take you 10 years to get better than them. But either way, I digress. Now, most people will get scared by that 10-hour timestamp and instead take 2 weeks to jump around on the internet trying to find these little 15-minute videos here, a little bit of this here and there. And they ended up wasting more time taking those 2 weeks to find these little videos, and it took them longer to learn the same skill skills than if they just dedicated 10 hours either straight, or maybe they split it up into 2 groups of 5 hours or 5 groups of 2 hours or whatever. It took them longer to learn that skill because they were scared of investing the high amount of time. Here's a real life example for you. I wanted to learn Blender, the 3D animation tool, a few years back, and it was going to take me, I think, maybe like 5 to 10 hours of watching YouTube videos and applying it to where I could finally make that donut that everyone makes. And I got like so scared of I'm gonna lose 5 to 10 hours of my life that I never started, and now I'm 5 years ahead in the future. I still don't know how to use Blender. I should actually get back on those videos and just spend the 5 hours, because I don't want to be 5 years from now saying the exact same thing. But yeah, don't lose 5 years of your life because you're trying to save 5 hours. It never weighs out. And honestly, that's probably one of the biggest parts where technology can be both a blessing and a burden, because we got to this point where we can optimize our time so much, but it's that same optimization that scares us from investing our time in the places where it matters. And there's something really beautiful about waiting and spending time in the moment. And you know, with the rise of things like artificial intelligence and chatbots and everything, it can make you think that investing time is setting you behind. Well, on the contrary, I think that investing time on the things that matter can make you a better person and put you ahead. An example I'll use is journaling. Ask anyone of my family members, anyone who's close to me, I journal like crazy. In fact, I wrote all the notes for this video. See right here, this is my journal for that, and I think I filled up like 4 pages or something. But yeah, now I could have easily used ChatGPT to write out the script like I did on the last video, which is actually about AI, so that, I mean, that worked out perfectly. But that wasn't the point of this video. The point of this video was transferring the thoughts and feelings I had on this specific topic and transferring them out of my mind and my heart onto paper and organizing them in a way that made sense and presenting it to you in hopefully a helpful and informative way. And that's because the goal of this channel particularly isn't to make a bunch of half-hearted YouTube videos and just use this channel to get monetized and I just use this as like a cash machine. Now, monetization is a goal, and I really pray that I'm going to get there, and I believe that it will get there hopefully very soon, but that's not the goal. The goal is to use this channel to document my journey from where I started to where I'm going to end up at, and hopefully it inspires some of you to also start your journey or help you along the journey that you're already on. And that's just something that AI can't do at this point in time, which I think is good, because I believe that when it can, and AI is going to be able to understand our thoughts and our emotions better than it already does, better than we do, then we lose that deeper connection into our soul and that deeper part that makes us human. Look at me getting all philosophical. But I would say this: don't focus on how big of a number of things you can turn around in this amount of time, but instead focus on how big of a turnaround you can get on things in a certain amount of time. Because when you stress, guess what? The time's always gonna pass. In fact, that's literally why God told us not to stress. I mean, when you look at Matthew 6:27, it says, which of you by worrying can add a single cubit to his stature? And a lot of other translations actually say, which of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? But the crazy part is when you go forward a few verses into verse 33, and he says this: but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Did you get that? Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Meaning, when you focus on God, he's literally telling you, instead of stressing, focus on me. And the things that you're stressing about, I will take care of. I mean, how cool is that? He's completely got our needs covered. And that was a lesson that really took me a while to learn, but now that I've learned it, I'm better because of it. Here's a little quick story time for you. So about a few years ago, I was 15, turning 16, and I was really stressed over like life. I was like, my life is over, everything's done. I would literally, I'm not joking, I would look at the clock and I would see the seconds ticking away, and I would just stress because I'm like, my life is literally ticking away. My life is getting shorter and shorter by the second. I was so focused on the seconds. I was throwing myself in this trapping box because I was just so stressed. The fact that my time was just vanishing away. But here's the big thing I learned: time, that's out of my control. So instead of stressing, just sit down and trust the one who does have control. Psalms 46:10, he literally says, be still and know that I'm God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth. Time and time again, God's just telling you, be still, know that I'm God, I'll take care of you. How cool and refreshing is that? So don't stress about the time that you don't have. Instead, make the most of the time that you do have. So wrapping this all up, I guess I just want to say time is something that is very, very powerful. And when you worry and you stress and you work against it, it gets you nowhere. But when you trust God and work with time, it will get you further than you could ever imagine. And just remember, God's in control of it all. So don't stress on the time that you don't have. Just focus on doing the most with the time that you do have. So remember, optimize the areas of your life that need optimizing. But don't be scared to invest into the areas of your life that need investing. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative and it helped you out. Until next time, stay creative. Remember, when you stay strong in God, he'll stay strong in you. So, God bless, and Estevan out.